Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of Leaving the City on a Budget. If you haven't watched my first 2 videos on the subject, I highly encourage you to watch them first before jumping into this one so we're all on the same page. In this video, I'm going to jump into an actual active listing. Right now it's on the market. You can see the link in the description below and you could look at it for yourself in your free time. But for this video, I'm going to go over it and I'm going to show you how I choose a fixer-upper property. A lot of you that are watching these videos know that the city is a bad place to be right now and you're procrastinating. I know you know, but then why the hell are you still there? Why are you looking at videos on how to turn a can of Crisco into a heater when the gas and the lights and everything else could shut off? That's not going to save you. You need to get the hell out of those cities. They're gonna burn. There are a lot of things to consider before making this investment. I moved out of the city on a budget, right around 50 grand to be completely honest with you. And I've learned a lot along the way. There are some things that, man, I've done my research before I came down, and there were still details that I overlooked. But I learned a lot. I want to share that with you. If you guys are serious about wanting to save yourself and your family, sacrifices have to be made. All those shiny toys that you don't want to give up, you're going to have to realize that sooner or later, those toys are going to be what's holding you back. Don't let your possessions own you. It's liberating giving up everything you have, so all you got is your clothes and your family and your pictures, maybe a few appliances. That's something that's a kind of a rare commodity in some of these parts. You're going to need to use that internet connection to learn as much as you can about basic electrical and mobile home repair, and get out while you can. Now, my videos, I'm speaking to the state of Kentucky, okay, if you're moving here. Now, a large portion of it, I just don't recommend, all right? As a matter of fact, well, I'm going to have to get into that in another video, but we're going to jump into this listing. I'll share my thoughts and tell you whether or not I would invest in it. I'll also tell you if I think it's overpriced. I'm going to tell you right away it is. So let's take a look. Okay, so looking at the property for sale, $49,950, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 980 square feet on 1 acre. I like that 980 square feet. Even your smallest, most basic wood-burning stove will heat at least up to 1,000 feet. And if the idea is to do a cash buy, free yourself from those bankers and just live rent-free in a place out in the country where it's like plenty of yard where you can grow gardens and stuff like that, this could be an option for you. So 586 Little Barron Road, Greensburg, Kentucky. Let's take a look and see what they say in the listing. Okay. It's been on the market for 104 days. For sale, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath on 1 acre lot in the country. Mobile does need repair. There looks to be some leaks in the roof. Also on the property is a 2,300 square foot building that was being remodeled into additional living quarters. This building is partially block and partially stick built. This would make a great investment property or fixer-upper with the possibilities of 2 rental units on the property. Call us today. First thing you do is you call the listing agent. You don't click that contact agent button. That's not the agent they're going to contact. Every app has their own set of third-party agents. For these fixer-uppers, these agents could live 2-3 hours away from it. And if you bring somebody else in on the deal and they have to split that commission, they're not going to take your call. All right. What are the taxes? That's always a good thing to know, right? $38 a year. Okay. Now, 49, so 50 grand. What is an acre of land actually worth in Greenburg, Kentucky? According to Google, about $8,900. Okay. Now, again, this mobile home is in disrepair. You don't know if it's got power, if the septic even works. You don't know if the plumbing's needs to be replaced or how much of it. Odds are it probably works just fine. I mean, it doesn't really look that bad. I've seen a lot worse. If the pictures in the listing actually match what you see when you show up. I've seen otherwise, man. These guys will post pictures from years earlier to get you out there. Then you realize, man, the back wall is half out. It wasn't like that in the listing. These agents, they're just greasy down here. Okay, so I wouldn't pay more than, okay, so for something like that right away, I'd say for the structure, 10 to 15 grand. I don't care what kind of outbuildings they have on the property. Okay, you're not going to live in the shed. You want to live in the house. How much is it going to cost to get it up to livable conditions? Now let's look at the neighborhood. Flood factor 1. That's actually great. I'm looking at it. It does look like mostly flat land. You got nice trees. I don't see any neighbors' houses right at the property line. Okay, that's a good thing. You don't want to be able to step outside and see your neighbor. You want to be able to pee off your front porch, whether you're male or female. They shouldn't. You don't want to live that far out in the woods. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. All right. And that does look like a slice of heaven, doesn't it? Now, how far away from the nearest home improvement center is it? Because you're going to need to get supplies there, right? We'll get into that in just a little bit, but let's look at the house first. I like that lot. Nice and level. Looks like you can garden, no problem. Got a nice shade tree. Those mobile homes, man, when they get direct sun in like July and August, man, they heat up. So, you know, and the windows look pretty good. I don't see any missing windows. That's also a good sign. What you have to understand is a lot of these mobile homes, if they're like 25 years or older, those windows that those manufacturers put in at that time were standard size. You're not going to be able to find a replacement window to just pop right in. You're either going to have to go smaller or go bigger. So do what you can to try to replace what's already in place before you start spending money where you don't really need to. I like that. Now, the deck looks a little wobbly, but I wouldn't worry about that. It's the inside of the place that you want to look at. Now, this is the only picture in the listing of the inside of the place, okay? I see this is encouraging. It looks like it's got the original ceiling and walls in it, so it doesn't look like, however long it was sitting there, it took a whole lot of damage. However, I do see water damage along the wall to the right. If you look at how wavy and wobbly it gets, I would recommend anyway, because of that alleged leak. Well, actually, I wouldn't say alleged. I can tell that it does leak. I'd pull out the carpeting, okay? I'd tear out those walls and replace them across the board. You're going to want to get your eyes on every bit of electrical in those walls. That R11 in those walls is thin, but if it's been taking on water for a long time, you probably have mold in there as well. That R11 has a tendency to just break down and degrade and settle in the base of the wall where the electrical is, and it holds water. So don't turn on that breaker just yet. I mean, you might be able to get a pretty good indication of what you're looking at by just taking the plate off of a wall socket. Now, if it's all black and corroded looking, okay, but you can get a sheet of 4x8 sheetrock for about $12 right now, okay? Something like that, I'd go one wall at a time. Then I'd get some. R11's hard to find down here, even though a lot of these communities are overwhelmingly mobile. R13 seems to be the way to go. You're looking at about $21 a roll, okay? Now, right away, looking at this, the water damage, that floor does look like it's got some rot, okay? They have these 4x8 sheets of tongue and groove, no flex, Advantech flooring. That's what you're going to want to use. Depending on the market, I've seen that stuff fluctuate since I've been down here from around $35 a sheet to almost $100. So don't blow everything that you leave the city with entirely on a fixer-upper. You want to have some money to float on for a little bit until you can get it livable and find a place to get a part-time job. You know what I mean? I mean, you're not retired. You're going to have taxes. If you're driving a car, you're going to have insurance. You're going to have to fill up the tank. It's going to cost money. You're going to need a source of income somehow. Put off that, off-grid thing until you settle in. The first year or two, you may be focusing all or most of your resources on getting this place livable. It doesn't show anything about the bedrooms and back, though. As far as I can see going down the hallway, it doesn't look too bad. But the ceilings might be out, but you're going to want to get in and look at that anyway. If you're going to be living in there, okay, you want to replace as much of the outside walls as you possibly can and fix the ceilings. It's not a big job. You just take your time. It's very easy stuff. But while you have an internet connection, watch some how-to videos, maybe download them and store them on a hard drive somewhere so you can review them later. This doesn't look too bad. Appliances, you're going to need some. Wish I could see the bathroom. I mean, I'd hope that the flooring isn't too rotten out and that the septic is somewhat functioning. Check the property, locate the septic unit. As long as it's not caved in, you should be good. Now, they'll tell you that every 3 to 5 years you should service them, but that's the people that service them that'll tell you that. The people that engineer them, the people that design them will tell you if you properly maintain them, they'll last you 100 years. So, just know where it's at on the property so you don't drive your vehicle over it or any heavy farming equipment or anything. You're not supposed to. You can damage them, then you're screwed. It's going to cost you 10 grand. Don't do that. Keep your vehicle in its designated place, wherever they have it there when you pull in. Now, where are you going to get your building material? You're out in the woods. Hopefully you're not 2 hours from the nearest Lowe's, right? It just so happens that for this listing, Lowe's is 31 minutes away. That's awesome. And when you're looking for shopping options, whenever you see a Super Walmart, what seems to be right there next to it, you have options. If there's competition, the prices are better. These small, tiny, economically depressed towns are expensive to live in. People with money come here to buy the land because it's cheap, and everybody that has stuff to sell raise their prices sky high because they want their money. Next thing you know, the people that live there can't afford to live there. Okay, 31 minutes away. Okay, that looks very encouraging. What are you going to do, though, if you need to replace the flooring in the bathroom and you can't go to the bathroom there just yet? Well, I got you covered. Right here, Lug-a-Baloo. These things are awesome. They got a 5-gallon bucket in them. You start them off with just a 1-inch layer of peat moss. Okay, go number 2. If you gotta pee, go outside. Guys, ladies, go outside. You don't want to pee in these buckets. The ammonia will just become overpowering. You don't want some big sloppy, messy soup to have to deal with. If you just stick with number 2, and when you're done, cover it up with peat moss, and then just lower the lid. You'd be surprised there's no odor afterwards. And then once it's full, snap a lid on, mark the container, and move it somewhere to the end of your property. So, give it about 12 months, it'll decompose and turn into perfectly usable soil. Isn't that amazing? Now, as far as your water situation, I'd hope that you would. I didn't see a well house, doesn't see anything. It probably has city water. A lot of these places, even way out in the remote parts of the country, have city water. So I would guess that's the case. But if not, you could always go with some sort of an off-grid hanging water bag shower system, kind of something sort of like that, tankless. This is just like an idea. If you don't have gas right away, the one on the right you could power with a bottle of propane, as long as you can get water into the place. Otherwise, there are cheaper options where it's just like a bladder. You get a few gallons of water, and then put it in a bag. You can take a shower on a gallon of water. You can. I've done it. Now, I would encourage you guys, if you're looking for anything, until you get a wood-burning stove in place, if that's the way you want to go, avoid any property that's set up for propane. It's expensive. When these tanks empty, the people that service them, They do not do partial fills. They're not going to give you $100 worth. They're going to fill them up all the way to the top, or they won't show up. Now, a 500-gallon tank, you've seen them before, right? Now, just because they're in place on the property and connected doesn't mean that at some point the previous occupants didn't wrench on them and done something that makes them unsafe. I don't know anything about propane other than it's really expensive. So, 500-gallon tank, how much is propane, Lonnie? Well, I just so happen to have some numbers for you here. $600 to $750 per 100 gallon. That's like $3 to $4 grand to fill that up. And I can tell you, with natural gas, my average bill is between 60 to 110. 110 being like January, maybe February, and then it goes back down. But again, that's why I say tear out them walls. Look at those studs. You might have to refabricate some of those 1x2s or 2x2s, which are really 1.5 by 1.5 when you actually put a tape measure on them. And the beauty of that is you can buy 8-foot 2x4s down here for about $3 or $4. And if you have a table saw, you can split them and double your lumber so you can refabricate more area with less wood. It's awesome. And then you get some R13, about $21 a roll, and just start going all the way down. Now, if it looks like there was some moldy wood, I would start by getting a bleach and water solution and misting everything down to kill any mold that may be growing. You know what I mean? Just to kind of nip any potential future issues in the bud. Now let's take a look at one of those outbuildings. Okay, that looks like a pretty good size. And what do we got there? Just to the left, is that there you go. You put a wood-burning stove in the place, 980 square feet. You can get a year's worth of wood and store it in there. There you go. I mean, getting a stove is one thing, but I mean, where are you going to store all the wood? I mean, I have a carport here. I would actually have to build a place, and that's money right there. And I don't really think I'm going to stay here. I'm just going to flip it and make a little money. You can do this too if you're patient and you're not afraid to rough it for a little while. So let's see what the inside of this place looks like. They said they were remodeling it to make it another livable quarters on the property. Okay. Wood looks good. I don't see any signs of water damage. It looks like they already got windows and everything in place. Okay, that's assuming, again, that these pictures are current. Who knows? They could be a few years old. There could be all kinds of stuff growing in there right now. You just have to get out there and look. That's why when they put the address out there like that, just hop in your car. You're going to want to go boots on the ground, okay? That place I bought in Van Cleve, I bought out of just based on a handful of pictures online. Don't ever do that. It worked out, but you know. Let's see, we've got another angle on the place. So they don't seem to have any conduit or any electrical running. So I would use it for a storage shed, okay? I put chickens in there, ducks, maybe a goat, some straw, lawn equipment, things like that. I wouldn't get too overboard with spending money. There's going to be things that just suddenly surface that you just don't see until you're actually wrenching on the place. Guys, I say Greensburg is a sound investment. If you're self-sufficient and you do the work yourself, when you do the work yourself, $1,000 can go a long way. Now, given the value of an acre of land in Greensburg and considering the condition of the structure, I'd go in if you have cash in hand, okay? You're in a better position to negotiate. If you do, start at 25K. I wouldn't go over 30. It doesn't seem to be, it's going to take some work, all right? It's got a lot of potential. These places down here, when you buy them, they almost never have any appliances in them. So if you're going to flip it, sell them fully loaded. It makes them very attractive. You can get a new washer, dryer, stove, and refrigerator for around $2 grand at Lowe's if you get them when they're on sale. It's not that bad. If I can do it, you can do it. The important thing is you get your family out of the city. I've never been to Greensburg. I don't know what it looks like on the ground, so that's why it's important for you to get out there to make sure that the pictures in the listing that I'm sharing in the description below matches what it actually looks like when you show up. I can't stress how dishonest these real estate agents down here can be. I don't know what's coming down the pike, guys, but you know, if you're paying attention to that last election cycle, we're rolling into another one. Who knows what else they may engineer and release? More lockdowns are coming. Don't let a panic buyer from California buy a property like this out from underneath you. Now, another thing that I could add is that if you have a CDL, some knowledge of agriculture, or you're maybe an RN or something like that, those are very big jobs down here. You can get them easily. But you are going to have to find work, okay? I mean, you're going to have bills either way. It's just going to be nice to be able to liberate yourself from being stuck under the thumb of a banker. All those modern conveniences and all those stores within blocks of your house, it's all a trap to keep you in debt. But once this diesel, we've got 25 days left, they say, when the supply chain stops, what good is having a grocery store down the street if they're not getting anything to fill their shelves? At least here, when I got a deer crossing my yard, I can bag them. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be okay. And you can be too. Do not have fear. You guys can do this. I can't stress it. It's just hard. I'm telling you, it's exhausting. It's my second house. I think I'm just going to go ahead and flip this one. I'm tired. It's very time consuming. It's very exhausting. It can get expensive. So that's why I really want to kind of encourage you guys to take a look at this Greensburg place, man, to have those kind of shopping options so far out in unrestricted area, so close by. I mean, that right there is awesome. If you fix it up, if you stay on it, you can flip that place in 6 months and probably pick up 60 to 70 grand on it once you make it livable, but you have to sell it fully loaded. You know what I mean? And get yourself something bigger if you want. But either way, you have some outhouses there, outbuildings that you could store supplies in. So start off with about 20 sheets of drywall, about a dozen rolls of R13. Start on those electrical outlets and switches. Change them all. Make sure you get your eyes on all the electrical. Make sure everything's grounded. You should be okay. Man, I think I've gone on long enough. I did go over 10 minutes, didn't I? But it was necessary. It's because I want you guys to have information. If there's something else I can think of to share, I will. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, and I'll see you in part 4, okay? So until the next video, guys, prepare yourself, okay? Educate yourself as much as you can on mobile home repair and other things. It's just kind of make that transition a little bit easier. You know what I mean? You can do this, all right? So until the next video, we'll holler at you later.